Hello guys and welcome to another Rant video. I'm Legal Gaming. Alright, so I've been thinking about this for a bit. It's been on my mind for some time, and you see the title and surprise, oh, Star Wars? Why would I be Star Wars? Well, I had a history with Star Wars and Star Trek for a time. Some times ago, my mother and I used to watch the marathons of it for some times. I like the originals, and for you surprise, I like the prequels, especially the Revenge of the Sith. I really like that one, and I especially love the Clone Wars. I always see it as one of my favorite cartoons of all time. So my disgust when I talk about when I see Disney Star Wars. It's been a complete disaster. Everything that's been made have been complete utter garbage, and it's been fascinating seeing them just crash and burn. But I'm not going to talk about just Disney Star Wars altogether. I'm going to talk about the fact that they basically shot themselves in the foot the moment they disregarded George Lucas. Now you wonder what I mean. I'm going to ask you, go to with you this. Why the is it that when Disney making shows that they're making say the Disney shows that we keep on making the slop they've been making. Why is it that almost every single one of them is either a prequel trilogy or original trilogy? Why is it that almost none of them have been of the sequel trilogy? I always found that funny until I realized this epiphany of this is an epiphany of mine. The sequel trilogy is dead of content. What do I mean by this? Think about what the sequel trilogy did to the Star Wars universe. It destroyed the New Republic. The First Order was a complete joke and is so nebulous that you can't tell what it was throughout it all. There was no structure or true structure. We don't even know what they even conquered or anything. Just some slave papitudes, but there was nothing there. So you can't. There was nothing concrete with the First Order and the Jedi Order. Oh, the Jedi Order. The Jake Skywalker. I'm not calling him Luke. That Jake Skywalker made crap was destroyed. Everybody dead. So there's no Republic, no Empire or antagonist really, and no Jedi Order. And the fourth of all, and I think this is most important, its world building was terrible. The planets were either generic or didn't matter. They didn't have locations or world histories that could be espoused and expanded upon. That could be expanded upon. There was just nothing. So, and worse, because of how unoriginal the movies were, because they were just a bad copy of the original trilogies, it's basically shot themselves in the foot creatively. Now you're wondering what I mean by this is that they can't make they can't make new stuff from it. But they only have made one stuff from it, which was Star Wars Resistance. Now I know all of you guys have never even heard of it, or barely remember it, or didn't even know it was a thing. But I could tell that this was the only Star Wars show that was made very related to the sequel trilogy. Not before or since has there been any other show that was related to the sequel trilogy. They were either prequels or old trilogy. And I know why. Because there is nothing to cling on to in the sequel trilogy. Since all the potential in the world has been destroyed in the world in the sequel trilogy, you can't make stories from it. You're basically blank. Say what you will about the prequel trilogy, it at least gave people content to gave people the imagination. It expanded the Star Wars universe. How is it that the Clone Wars show was easily able to create new stories and create more. Not only because it had George Lucas there, but because the foundation was set that something good could come from it. But nothing could come from the sequels. Because what was the sequel was? Another bad rendition of the Empire versus Rebellion thing? Or Resistance versus the First Order? Well, what? That's not good. Because you would have thought that because I bet that George Lucas would have made the next trilogy like a Cold War, like Imperial remnants against Republic, the New Republic in the Outer Rim space, and it could be like could be following a new Jedi Padawan or Master in Luke's council having to deal with all of the political stuff while a new faction arises. That isn't a First Order or anything else, but something entirely new. Doesn't have to be used wrong, but could have been interesting. But they got rid of George Lucas's idea. We know what it was, but I can bet it was better. And so you're seeing Andor becoming successful, and it's interesting how Anthony and others, Anthony Gargumuli, he's a Disney apologist. The thing is that Andor was great in spite of Disney. Because think about this. If Disney was on the Andor like it was with the Acolyte, with Ahsoka, with the others, do you think it would have been as good as as it is now? No. It would have been watered down and sanded down, and it would have not been good. But because of the fact it didn't have a leash on it, it was able to at least have a good story. A story that the story that actually is interesting and impactful today. You haven't had that with much of Star Wars since. I always thought that the Gorman arc of the Andor was in spite of Disney, not because of it. So because it's how because the thing is I know that the apologists are gonna act like, oh, see Andor was good, so that means all of these Star Wars was had something there. It's like, no, Andor would have been good, was good because it had freedom. All those other shows didn't, or just had nep, nepo no writers from Kathleen Kennedy, a person that should have been fired by now. I just wanted to make this small rant because I realized that Star Wars, until something really changes, it's just going to be content dead. Because thanks to the sequel trilogy, there's nothing there. Heck, there's a reason why there hasn't been a Ray Palpatine movie in so long. How are you supposed to make a new trilogy from nothing? What are you gonna make a second order? Are you gonna make Ray give up and become a loser like Jay Skywalker? Unless you plan on doing that, I don't know how you would even make a new one. How would you make a new threat? Or unless they're gonna steal from the and legends again and copy the using wrong. Honestly, I wouldn't even put it past Disney to do it at this point. Basically, the big hypocrites they are. But well, that's just what happened to the trilogy. It's just terrible. And Star Trek. Oh, Star Trek. Oh, I have some things to say about Star Trek, but that's gonna be anything. That's gonna probably for another day. See you guys in the next video and see ya.